Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 3 of this best of 5 series with Omega Gaming Unleashed going up against Divine Ascension Ruby. OMG. They're sitting right now, nice and pretty, here with 2 games under their belt with the victory they had there in game number 2. And yes, it was a slow game. Yeah, it was drawn out, but they played carefully. They played precisely after some of those early mistakes. And honestly, they did not give a whole lot of kills over to DAR in the later stages of that game. So, in all honesty, Omega Gaming Unleashed just playing it very, very methodically and precisely, I'd say, for the latter half of that game.
Absolutely, and we're going to see once again Divine Ascension Ruby unfortunately just not having their bans available to them. Omega Gaming naturally going to try to take away the Caitlyn off of the table. Such a range dominant AD carry in the lane and in the hands of an ADC marksman like Panda, just an absolute deadly champion. Darius once again going to be taken away from What Are You Doing, and JDK's signature Zillion not wanting to see that scuffle by the top lane repeat itself. Divine Ascension Ruby in the last match pulling off a 2v3 that turned into an eventual 3v3. It was a complete wipe in their favor and really kept them in the running for that game number 2. So we'll have to see Divine Ascension Ruby if they're going to try to adapt and play Omega Gaming's game plan better than they have been playing. The late game scaling, the we're going to run at you and just simply out team fight you. Seraphine not able to be banned. Omega Gaming not gonna ban it away from themselves. They're going to take that up. JDK responding with this Twisted Fate certainly could spice things up as the Kaisa finally locked in, a champion that's been available for a couple drafts now, is going to find its mark on the Rift.
Yep, Seraphine picked up nice and early. I mean, Omega Gaming Unleashed basically saying, hey, you know, it worked well for us in game number 1. Let's go ahead and run it back here for game number 3 on blue side. So can't say I'm too surprised with that, but I do like the pivot here coming out from Divine Ascension Ruby. They've got the Twisted Fate. They have the Kaisa. All right, Twisted Fate. Let's go ahead and make some plays there at level 6. Let's go ahead and use that Destiny and try and get ourselves some advantages. Let's coordinate with our jungler, Legit Sack, and you know, maybe get Water. What are you doing? What? I look at his name and I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing?
What?
Words. Okay. Anyway.
They always ask Idea, what are you doing? They never ask you really, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm just man. Anyway, so but I think maybe this is potentially a game where you say, all right, hey, we got the TF. Let's play aggressive in some of these lanes. Let's play for that early game. Let's get ourselves ahead. You know, I felt like you know, there were some attempts of life that were made to do that in game number 2. It wasn't exactly, I think, the right composition that you had to be able to do that, with the Pantheon being on the top side as opposed to maybe being somewhere in the middle of the map. But you know, okay, you got Twisted Fate now. You've got that roaming mid. I really want to see them play maybe something aggressive up towards the top side. Maybe this is where you go in that split push composition. Maybe you build yourselves a 1-3-1 comp. I don't know. Something. Right, something. You know, Omega Gaming Unleashed is going to want to play in the 5v5. They're going to want to play for that team fight here with the Seraphine, the Udyr, and the Tristana picked up. This is almost exactly what we saw in game number 1, and Omega Gaming Unleashed smashed it. So I'm just glad to see that they're not repeating that again here. And already, all right, cool. We get Shen. Okay, perfectly fine with this. You get the Shen, you have the TF, you have some mixed damage types coming out here. Jungle pick is going to be that one thing that we get to see. What's that going to be? Are we going to see carry jungler? Are we going to see tank jungler? But the gangplank going to be the response against the Shen up here on the top side.
The Shen good idea. I don't know. I don't like the idea of picking all your solo lane. I know Shen's a cool champion, but this better be a river Shen, because I'm kind of salty Divine Ascension Ruby are saving their jungle pick for Red 5. Why do you
look?
Right, like,
beggars can't be choosers, okay? You either ask them to change the draft up, but you don't get to beg them to change the draft and draft jungle not as the 5th pick. But anyway, Alistar Gangplank going to be the last 2 pickups here, and we get the Nocturne. All right, look, this is okay. I'm just gonna say this is a composition that has a clear idea. Okay, there's some cohesion here. It's better than the drafts that we've seen in other games. Okay, you have the Shen, you have the Nocturne, you have the Twisted Fate. You are looking to find and pick people off in side lanes. You know the gangplank's going to be split pushing. You know that he's going to be off here. And you have these ultimates that can allow you to generate a man advantage in this game. So as long as you're not inting away the early game, you have the potential and playmaking ability now in this squad, as opposed to picking an inferior team fight composition or champions that are just not going to simply play well into an Omega Gaming Unleashed's composition, excuse me. So, yes. Is it a perfect draft? No. No draft ever is. But I do like the pivot here.
There are perfect drafts, dear idea. Shall I remind you of game 1?
Perfect draft for one team, maybe not the other, but that is absolutely fine. I think that with the obvious disadvantages, and this is something that I do just want to talk about a little bit here. You know, obviously, maybe we are being a little too hard on them. They did have all of their bans, their first 3 bans, taken away from them for the penalty that they had. So, I mean, I do want ourselves to at least be realistic, and also for chat to be realistic. That is absolutely huge when it comes to trying to squeeze particular champions out of the meta. I mean, you're basically giving up the top picks on any patch when you lose those first initial bans and you're playing on red side. So there is an uphill battle that they do have to fight and face against this. And it's not a situation that you would want to be in, especially going into quarterfinals playoffs. But I think that if there's one draft that I was going to take out of all the drafts we've seen, this is the one I'm taking if I'm playing on the side of DAR.
Really worried about this bot lane idea because the blind Kai'Sa, you know Omega Gaming Unleashed is going to be going for the Seraphine pick, and it's so tough for Divine Ascension Ruby, right? Because I think the meta pick, the meta blindable ADC is to go for the Tristana, but Omega Gaming just showed you that they have that Varus Karma composition ready for you if you try to go for a Tristana lane, and they handled it with ease. And so Divine Ascension Ruby, they know they don't want to go for the salty run back, right? They want to try to keep Omega Gaming Unleashed on their toes. And so the Kai'Sa is a really valid ADC to try to mix things up, but into the Tristana, it's going to be a much different lane than the Tristana Varus, because as I talked about in the draft analysis with the Tristana Varus lane matchup, Varus has the range to somewhat deal with the Tristana pick. Kai'Sa, outside of her W idea, doesn't have a whole heck of a lot she can do. So Divine Ascension Ruby going to need to channel that proactive energy. We haven't seen it at all through this series, but with their backs up against the wall to try to force Omega Gaming Unleashed to a game 4 and then maybe a game 5, exactly like you were talking about earlier, idea, they're going to have to try to utilize this Shen, this Nocturne, this Twisted Fate to catch Omega Gaming Unleashed without the numbers advantage.
And here's the thing too, there should never be, and this is going to come down to execution, there should never be a point in this game where you're not able to get someone to a bottom lane fight or a top lane fight or a jungle fight with this much utility in these global ultimates. There's no way. So that is going to be what I am looking at in this game as kind of my needle, my judge on whether or not they are executing on the team comp properly, right? So that is really what I'm going to be looking for here, is to be making good utilization of those global ultimates and playing effectively across the map in the early to mid game that you have to do with a composition like this. Otherwise, you do end up getting to late game, and now you're staring down the barrel of a gangplank parlay and Tristana and her rocket jump right on top of you in your face. And I don't know if I want to play against that late game with a Seraphine backing them all up and an Udyr that's going to be running at you at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So play for the split push, play for the side lanes, try to make advantages where you can get them, and let's roll it out. Let's have a good game 3.
And looking at what Omega Gaming Unleashed is going to be doing, we already saw Tristana for adjustment in game number 1 in the way he's able to navigate that champion, especially when paired up with an aggressive support with the sub. These guys have been known to dominate from the get-go, to pick up small advantages, to really understand how they need to lane, and we'll be looking for some more aggressive plays, catching Panda and Pandanda kind of off guard, maybe with a little Hex Flash or just even plain old Flash from the Alistar. It's a very vulnerable bot lane the Alistar usually a pretty good into the. I feel like these enchanter supports. He gets the heal from his triumphant roar with adjustment, just wave clear, and they should be fine. I think in terms of sustain, and the Nami poke by herself, I don't think should be too oppressive. But we saw Pandanda. I do want to shout her out for her Nami game in game number 1 because she had some clutch tidal waves, and outside of adjustment, being able to jump away, Omega Gaming Unleashed pretty vulnerable to an ultimate like that. We'll have to see if Divine Ascension Ruby once again are going to be on the same page in terms of that ultimate usage, because we saw legit sack on the Hecarim in game number 1 follow up and look for team fights really well when Pandana was on this Nami pick. So he's got to be looking to do the same thing with Nocturne.
You're absolutely right, Mac. You make some very great points, and honestly, I cannot wait to see the Nocturne. I love the champion. But with that being said, we're going to flip it on over into intermission as we get ready to gear ourselves out there for game number 3 of this OGU versus DAR best of 5 matchup here in the quarterfinals for the Excellency midweek. Do not go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We are actually going to be watching the game number 3 of the other series during our intermission. So, keep your eyes peeled on that one. Dory K, our producer, is going to put that up on stream for you, all nice and fancy. But with that being said, we're going to close it out. We're going to flip on over to that intermission, and we'll see you out there on Summoner's Rift for game number 3.
Here comes Sharp Circles popping that last hour. The condemn into the wall. Sharp Circle gets the shutdown, and Sharp Circle is carrying this match.
Sharp Circle sitting at 3-0, 92 CS at 11 minutes with a sizable lead over his laner. You would not have said that if you told me that Vayne mid was going to be the pick, but as we move into this best of 5, more and more these picks are getting more and more plausible. If the myth is, does Vayne mid work? It is definitely plausible, and Sharp Circle is showing it as he's putting on an absolute performance as well in game number 3.
Yeah, and I'd say that was pretty worth. Sure, you cost your Tristana her life and this Skarner his life, but I mean, you also get a few kills, so that feels good.
It feels good, and if No Fear Wolves wanted to really commit onto that dragon, that is one of the situations where if you want to try to make that play, you have to call cute Raichu down, either just walk down or TP down, because you knew that Sharp Circle wasn't involved in that bot lane fight at all. He's gonna go over to that dragon and eventually contest it, and when you don't have your damage dealer in Epic Field Guy and it's just Skiz, Peekaboo, and Fitz, and we already have seen that Skiz and Peekaboo had used both their ultimates at that point, it was just an overstep. That's one of the situations where you're like, okay, we got a great team fight, let's try to get this objective. But you're like, hey guys, you remember that guy that didn't participate in the team fight and has all of his summoners and his ultimate and is in mid lane? Maybe he comes and fights us when we do this objective. It's just one of those things where like, you're on such a rush because you're like, wow, we won this team fight, we're kind of back in it. But those kind of decisions are really what like separate like really blowing open a game or kind of just taking a good fight.
Yeah, here comes Orenhorn. Skiz is going to be knocked right back up. And who took it? I don't know who took it. It doesn't tell us, but Peekaboo taking so much damage as Volibear using the Stormbringer just to get right out. Double kill over to Sharp Circle, and Skiz gets out there with the Rift Herald.
And they get the Rift Herald, but at what cost? It's just an overforce again by the side of No Fear Wolves. They don't have to make plays like this.
Definitely not.
It sucks that you're going to probably lose Rift Herald, so they try to make the play, try to be proactive about it. But again, Sharp Circle is so far ahead right now. You cannot take these fights as double tanks when you don't either get a pick on Sharp Circle, and you're not, like, the way that they have to play these fights out as No Fear Wolves at this point is you have to kill Sharp Circle and then objective. Because you
We stand and watch the world go up in flames. We fight for love until we die in vain. When the sky is getting dark and we're broken in our hearts, when we build our home tonight.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Excellency's Mid-League Spring 2021 Split. And this is the quarterfinals being brought to you by myself, Idea PC, and the wonderful Mac Dewey here as my color caster. So, are you ready for game number 3, Mac? Because I'm ready for game number 3. So far, it has been a pretty dominating performance coming out from Omega Gaming Unleashed as they sit in this series at a commanding 2-0. And, no level 1 shenanigans this time around. I think it's been pretty much a 5-man throw it down, hope something sticks kind of play for Omega Gaming Unleashed every game. But nothing crazy this time around as they walk out there onto that line of scrimmage.
Yeah, no, the sub hooks flying around in the mid lane, catching legit sack out at level 1. We do see, once again, a different composition from Divine Ascension Ruby and a very similar showing from Omega Gaming Unleashed. With the lack of bans coming through from Divine Ascension, they're able to get comfort picks like the Seraphine onto Princeton, like the Udyr onto Fallen Artemis, 2 champions that have kind of defined the Omega playstyle throughout this season, as they're able to control the early game and simply outpace their opponents, slowly but surely suffocating them off of the rift. And that's been the name of the game in this series. Divine Ascension Ruby kind of unable to keep up with the Omega Gaming composition. Shout out Fallen Artemis, though, the way he's been controlling the map and controlling the objectives. 2 souls in a row to start off this series. Idea that just doesn't happen. That's harder in jungle work right there. And Fallen Artemis on this Udyr pick has been doing a really solid job.
Yeah, honestly, I would say, I'm so surprised that he's got an Udyr every time, but that's kind of what happens when you lose your band. So, obviously, it's been a priority pick for them as a team. They've had a very, very strong showing on it in this series, and if it's not broke, don't fix it. But early
Level
flashes
2.
coming on in, and level 2 engaged, not quite what you wanted. Panda actually going to be able to kind of kite out the Alistar and get a little bit more damage than you're able to trade back in that exchange. So you're going to feel pretty all right if you are that Divine Ascension Ruby bottom lane with that early level 2 engage. But, nothing absolutely too crazy you can expect here. Smolkrum, and what are you doing? Going to be exchanging some blows here up towards the top lane here. Both of them going to be knocking out some of those pots here. And Parlay, man. Parlay with Grasp, I hate it. I absolutely hate playing against it. Mostly because I love Mordekaiser, and I love playing at top lane. And every time you see that GP counter pick, you just kind of cringe a little bit. But it is a good pick, I think, into the Shen. You do have the oranges to be able to get that cleanse off for the taunt. So feels pretty all right playing in that matchup here. And actually is going to be commanding a pretty early CS lead as well, as Gangplank's kind of pushing that wave into What Are You Doing's tower.
I think it's also worth considering that in this lane, Simulcrum, the beast for Omega Gaming Unleashed, on one of his most comfortable champions going into What Are You Doing in a Game 3 situation. This is how Omega Gaming Unleashed wanted to set things up. Everyone on comfort champs. And right now, Simulcrum going to be having solo priority over this top lane. The junglers both on the bottom side of the map. Fallen Artemis will have to keep a close eye on his pathing because he is an expert in this kind of stuff. With starting on the top side of the map, he's able to clear his bottom lane, but look at the mid lane game.
Yeah, JDK there, early flash coming on out, and Fallen Artemis gonna be able to blow that one away. Yeah, just a bit. JDK gonna be sweating here, and this is kind of one of the things about Twisted Fate. He does not necessarily have the strongest early game. In fact, I would say he definitely does not have the strongest early game. But with that being said, you have that passive gold generation, you have the level 6 ultimate that can be used globally, and so these are the things that do make the champion strong, even in light of maybe not having all of the kind of utilities that you'd be looking for to have survivability in the mid lane. But, Flash is going to get blown there, so JDK probably going to have to play a little safer than maybe he would prefer. But as long as he can kind of manage this wave appropriately, to where it is constantly pushing into him but not crashing into his tower, I think he'll be perfectly fine. Another headbutt pulverize, though, goes kind of a little awry here from the sub. Yeah. He just says, get away from me. Weird void creature woman.
Yeah, and the sub is able to kind of just spam this Hex Flash out of the bush constantly in adjustment. Look at the freeze coming through. It's not going to last really too long because Tristana doesn't have too easy of a job trying to freeze the wave with that passive. It kind of self-corrupts. But look at the Hex Flash coming up.
Hex Flash, yep, there it is. That's going to be a nice headbutt pulverized this time around onto Panda. Exhaust is going to slow him down, but the heals really are coming through to try and buy enough time here for JDK. But it's not going to be enough. First blood now going to go on over to Adjustment as they're able to pick up the kill.
Too easy for Omega Gaming Unleashed. They put the sub on something aggressive, and because Panda is so short-ranged on the Kaisa, he has to step up really, really far to try to look for something. I wonder even maybe if a Jinx would have been better in this game. I know the early game wouldn't be as strong, but hey, you know Omega Gaming Unleashed is going for the late game scaling anyway, so trying to play their game might be a solid strategy. But both ADCs able to pick up a Noon Quiver. That's going to be nice for Panda to kind of keep in this game. But Adjustment getting ahead early is kind of a worst case scenario for Divine Ascension Ruby, because this Tristana is going to be the bulk of the damage come the late game. And when he gets ahead so early, well, the damage coming in is just going to be that much more amplified. But look at Divine Ascension Ruby right now, Idea. They've got a really solid position around this dragon, and Fallen Artemis is on the top side of the map.
Yeah, they absolutely do here. The ultimates are all online here for that Divine Ascension Ruby squad, and that's just going to be an early dragon picked right on up here. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to get a Cloud Soul for this game. We will see something else. So, yeah, I just want to kind of slide that one right on in there for all those who are playing with their bingo cards, who have been staying on top of it. My bingo card's doing pretty well. I don't know about yours, but I just need like one more square for bingo. I know Viety has been sitting there complaining all this time in chat about not getting bingo. But maybe it is just not my day. Maybe it's not Viety's day either. I don't know. Either way, though, with those global ultimates here and online, now is the time. Now is when you start looking for some of these plays. Now is when you start looking for some of these rotations. Hey, Gangplank up there has this Shen pushed in for the majority of this game. You have level 6 on Nocturne. You have a level 6 on TF. Let's go make some plays. Let's do some. I want to see these teams be proactive.
And that's the difficult situation. Where do you go? Idea to Princeton in the mid lane? You try to gank the Cleanse Flash Seraphine. A little tricky, especially when JDK is shoving the wave in. Looks like he's posturing to try to make a move bot lane if he just is going to keep on shoving that wave in. Or maybe with the paranoia of if Princeton steps up for this wave, could be a small, very small window of opportunity. It's also tough trying to get Simulcrum in the top lane. The orange, such a valuable tool. In the bot lane, Adjustment has Rocket Jump, the sub, very, very close to Unbreakable Will.
But Nocturne
going to be able to go.
Yeah, he's shadowing down here. He's going on in. There it is. Going to be coming in. And JDK now, while being able to get these ultimates nicely locked up and paired up, that is the kind of synchronization that we want to see. Gold card comes out. Nocturne goes in. They're able to get the damage profile down. And easily the sub will fall.
Well, you can get the Alistar before he gets level 6. That's certainly a play in the making. Well done from Divine Ascension Ruby. But what are they going to get from it? Just getting the kill isn't going to change the course of the game too much. It is really nice, though, to get that gold onto Panda's Kaisa. Again, Divine Ascension Ruby, just as much as Omega Gaming Unleashed like to play around the bottom side of the map, made Divine Ascension Ruby, they even have a potential larger focus in that area, because we see Fallen Artemis maybe not even play around the bot lane.
JDK though, that's going to be Encore Cleanse going to be used, and a nice flash to be able to avoid the headbutt, pulverize, and almost certain death. JDK using his summoners there pretty effectively.
Spellbook is such a cool keystone, I always feel like, because the outplay potential is unexpectedly there sometimes. The combinations, you can even get Smite sometimes for some interesting Twisted Fate plays around the Baron Pandanda. Yeah. Going to try to catch out this Alistar, but I think the sub is going to be just fine. The next dragon is going to be spawning in 2 minutes, and ideally, I think, for the side of Divine Ascension Ruby, they try to make sure they get this dragon without letting Adjustment try to back once again for the Kraken Slayer. think you've got a bit longer of a chance to try to look for a fight when the teams are a little bit more on even footing, because this 1k gold lead right now, not so significant and mostly made for the top side of the map really, really big. In the bot lane right now, it's really, really close. About 3,600 gold for adjustment and 3,400 for Panda.
Yeah, it's almost negligible, right? And I don't think that he will be able to get the required gold that he will need for this Infernal Dragon that is going to be able to spawn here in about a minute and 45 seconds, or sorry, minute and 15 seconds. So, I mean, realistically speaking, it should be kind of interesting exactly what that itemization is going to look like. And Teleport is up for Simulacrum, which is absolutely vital. It is so crucial that he has that because of all the ultimate pressure that you will see that comes out from this Divine Ascension Ruby squad. So I think that if you're able to get the rotations there in time, if Simulacrum is able to get the teleport down there in time as well, you know, you have the opportunity to be able to put up a, I don't know, decent fight for this. But otherwise, I don't know. The Divine Ascension Ruby squad has the ability to react so quickly and on a dime to these plays that if they just see somebody out, TF and Nocturne are going to be there right on top of you. And JDK and Legit Sack, I have no doubt that these guys are not going to hesitate here in Game 3.
You don't know, the Nocturne Nightmare is waiting in the bush. He's on a control ward, and I wonder if Fallen Artemis is going to get baited into a fight. It would be a 3v3 on close to even terms. The person who starts the fight likely going to be able to win it.
Yep, absolutely there. A little bit of a trade up towards the top side of the map. Simulacrum, and what are you doing? Gonna be just kind of trading back blows here, but Simulacrum actually in a little bit of trouble, and this is kind of the fury of Shen. But there it is, JDK now gonna come out. Did he gold card the tower? No.
Maybe, yeah, he did. He definitely did.
Did he? Okay. I thought maybe it was the oranges, but it is just gonna be a kill. It goes on over to JDK. Paranoia now down here in the bot lane means that HP and health bars are a little bit low for the bottom lane here of Omega Gaming Unleashed, but being able to get that kill up towards the top side of the map is pretty big here. But Legit Sack gonna have to flash the headbutt pulverize right on out. This is a little interesting because priority for the pit does go the way of Omega Gaming Unleashed because you have the numbers advantage there temporarily. JDK being low health means he has to either push out the wave and then teleport back. And we see those pings actually coming in here right now. So they know that Omega Gaming Unleashed is going to be starting this objective up. Legit Sack, Panda Shells, they all have vision of this one right now. No tidal wave available, but the teleport's coming on. And what are you doing, though, is going to be able to go right on in, but the huge Chom Encore finds 3, and that's going to be the damage they need to be able to get at least 1 down now as Legit Sack falls. The Smite will secure it, and that's going to be Omega Gaming Unleashed there with the objective, and 2 kills going on their way. Adjustment now, Rocket jumping here onto Panda. He has his flash available, but he's going to get stunned up, and the damage not going to quite come through as he's able to get himself up and over the wall. Woo, my goodness. All right, Omega Gaming Unleashed. You got to make us think about this one real quick, but Princeton once again here with the spectacular performance on this Seraphine, able to find a huge encore to turn that one around.
And seemingly every single fight idea Princeton has been finding his fans to attend the encore session of the concert. There by the Dragon Pit, it was a 3-man ulti to really clean things up, and I wonder even if that was Divine Ascension's fight to take. They didn't have the Nocturne ulti to start things off. I don't think they had the tidal wave either. They were really just relying on Spirit's Refuge, and really Omega Gaming Unleashed with that Seraphine ulti, able to find the group damage to come out on top in that fight. So that was a tough one to try to take. Again, idea we talked about during the draft that this is less of a team fight composition from DAR, and more of a pit composition, a 1-3-1 style composition, even to try to utilize their global pressure. They do have more of it, even though Omega Gaming Unleashed is pretty well matched in the global department. With the Gangplank Cannon Barrage, we're going to have to look down the line to really try to set up some more plays like JDK and What Are You Doing had earlier on. That tower dive onto Simulacrum is more kind of the pace of the game that DAR need to drive for.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, the scaling options that Omega Gaming Unleashed are an issue. And, you know, we've seen signs of life from Divine Ascension Ruby in this game, but unfortunately what we haven't seen is that gold lead grow as a result of it, or them being able to find a really, really dominating pre-15 minutes in this matchup. And so again, you know, that concern becomes, is Adjustment and is Princeton just going to become this absolute monster team fight powerhouse as this game continues to go on? And eventually that will just simply be the case. You know, all things even, considering that champions have 6 items, and you're sitting there at like 50 minutes into the game, and the casters are sitting there and sweating, and the audience is like, oh my gosh, please end. I do take that team fight composition over anything else. But now Fallen Artemis going to be catching What Are You Doing Here up towards the top side of the map. Stand United is available for maybe get him away now that the CC has been blown. It's going to be death right here, right now. Going to get blocked up a little bit more, trying to find the
refuge.
Oh, but the ultimates do come in, and they're able to at least maybe trade this one back for a 1-4-1. The Exhaust with the Spellbook will be able to seal that fate, and Nocturne going to pick himself up a kill.
Up there in the top lane, able to Spirit's Refuge away that final parlay that Simulcrum thought would win, or get him the kill, excuse me. Princeton burning ultimate, but Panda in a pretty safe position. Meanwhile, Adjustment, there are no more turret plates in the bot lane, but he will still happily pick up solo first turret gold. The Tristana, the exact person Omega Gaming Unleashed want all their gold.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, this all just bodes well for Omega Gaming Unleashed. You know, the only thing about using those global ultimates to make a counterplay is that you are basically putting those members up there on that side of the map, which means you are leaving something or someone unanswered on the other side of the map. And yeah, sure, you are able to trade for the 1-for-1 and be able to kind of get some of that gold parity back, but then you leave the Tristana down towards the bottom side of the map. There's nothing you can really do about it. So she's just going to be able to go ahead and extend that gold lead even further here for Omega Gaming Unleashed.
And the way Adjustment has been playing, I'm sure the comms are just fine knowing he is going to be a very active part of the team. We'll have to see, though. Simulcrum a little behind. Solo lane favor, honestly, kind of leaning towards What Are You Doing? And now legit Sack here as well. They're going to look for the gangplank.
Yep, trying to find it out here. He's going to be feared on up as the oranges were popped a little bit too early there. And another kill here in the hands of this Nocturne. Legit Sack doing a very, very good job of piling this champion so far. Princeton, though, going to be getting a little bit close. Maybe trying to bait the fight out here with JDK as Fallen Artemis now coming up towards the top side. Chem Tank is popped, but the stun can only do so much. Stand United, though, now coming on in. It's going to be a 2v3 if the re-engage happens. No, it will not.
It's a big
and that's going to be
spawning in 10 seconds idea.
Yep, ultimate's pop there. Yeah, yes, they don't have the Stand United, but you do still have the teleport that is available here on the Shen and on JDK. So there are still options. So I say, hey, you know what? You have Destiny here for the Twisted Fate. You go ahead and send him up towards the top side. You know, maybe he can split effectively here in these fights. But in all honesty, Dragon's already gone, Dewey. Dragon's already gone. And I do like maybe a little bit more of the priority that this team is being able to pick up, because one of the issues that they have had is kind of losing the ability to fight back in the mid game, right. Which means that those later dragons haven't always gone the way of Divine Ascension Ruby.
Exactly, and usually Fallen Artemis is at the right place at the right time to kind of play around the objective. Instead, he's going to opt for this second Rift Herald. It'll be interesting if he decides to simply just open up the mid lane with it, a pretty standard use for a second Shelly. It seems like with Adjustment in the mid lane, that is where Fallen Artemis is going to be running to immediately. Doesn't really need to do anything in the side lane to make this work. In opening up this mid lane tower, while they did lose the Ocean Drake, may open up Divine Ascension Ruby to making more mistakes, to stepping up really where they shouldn't be on the map, because we know how well Omega Gaming can really control the vision around the mid lane. Just thinking a game or two ago, when Adjustment is able to jump in the mid lane and just take out Pandetta Chels for stepping up too far. That's going to be the first turret getting taken down there.
Yeah, second. Oh, but the re-engage now coming on in. Cannon Barrage, though, trying to do what it can to find the disengage, and that's going to be the Encore coming out and finding a legit Zac. He's going to have to flash out, but he is going to get taken down as Fallen Artemis is able to find the damage there. Tristana going to rocket jump right on out, and the re-engage now comes back in from Omega Gaming Unleashed. They're trying to find another one here, but the kiting is occurring. Panda has not quite gone down yet, and that is going to be a damage coming out from that Acathian and Rain as they're able to trade that 1-for-1 here in the mid lane.
And Pandana Chell's helping everyone out with the heals, but it was what are you doing in legit Zac with the engage. What a flank there from the Shen. It did only result in a 1-for-1 because really, again, kind of as we've been talking about throughout this game, Divine Ascension Ruby do not have a team fighting composition, even though they try to make it look like one in the mid lane there. The 5-on-5 fight with adjustment being on this Tristana pick and the range advantage makes it a lot easier to take those front-to-back team fights if you're Omega Gaming Unleashed, but the pick potential for Divine Ascension Ruby, as we've emphasized so far, is really strong with the Nocturne Paranoia, with JDK able to go all across the map and pop out. So I think Divine Ascension Ruby, even though they do trade 1-for-1, do expend a lot of important ultimates that are now back up. Legit Zac ready to take the next fight. Dragon going to be spawning in 2 minutes, and the gold lead pretty close. Honestly, Divine Ascension Ruby doing a solid job hanging on, and we've seen glimpses of their composition getting executed really, really well onto Simulcrum in the bot lane when he's overextended, when he's alone, and we'll have to see if they can keep it up.
Yeah, they have to look for it here, but I think realistically, you know, if you're able to kind of continue finding these picks and in these scrappy fights, maybe you have a chance, you know, being able to maybe pick up the Ocean Soul, which could have huge implications maybe for some of that team fight presence that they lack in the kind of split pushing, looking for the side lane kind of pressure points to pick on as opposed to the 5-on-5 team fight. So I think that if they're able to continue to play their composition effectively, maybe be able to find some picks here before these major objectives, that Ocean Soul could be at least some partial compensation for what their composition inherently lacks, Mac. But we're going to have to see if that is going to become a reality for them. Top lane Turk going to come under some fire here as what are you doing? And legit Zac, you're going to be able to knock that one down and pick up the first tower here for Divine Ascension Ruby. But overall, with the mid lane and bot lane tier 1s gone for their own side, it does mean that you are able to kind of start to push up and secure a little bit more of that vision that you would not otherwise have. You are able to get more effective rotations going on, and now Fallen Artemis is going to be able to go right on in here. Panda going to be able to use the Ultimate Hunter to be able to try to get himself, but it's so much damage with the Encore coming on out to follow it on up. Shen can only do so much. Legit Zac going to be dropped out way too low, and what are you doing? Going to be a little bit too far forward. Tristana adjustment with the rocket jump up and over the wall. He's going to be in the middle of these members here and now looking for the kills, looking for the damage, but another rocket jump on out. Lots of low health bars there, but adjustment showing us what he's worth and what he's made of there, knowing that this Divine Ascension Ruby just did not have the tools they needed to be able to stop him from being able to do whatever he wants on Summoner's Rift.
And Princeton really making the game look too easy. Fallen Artemis as well. Finding the picks they need, finding the easy engage, and catching Panda again caught off guard. That's why I really emphasize how nice it would be to get rid of that mid lane outer turret with the Rift Herald. It opens up Omega Gaming Unleashed to make plays like that, and now they stop the dragon stacking for Divine Ascension Ruby. They even things out, and once again, I think we might find ourselves in a very similar situation as was game number 2 and also game number 1, where now Omega Gaming Unleashed, they play this stage of the game pretty much perfectly. Like, we've never really seen any of the Omega laners get caught out at this stage of the game, right? It's always been, okay, Omega gets here, they're ahead, they're going to be playing very safe, farming up, and playing to their win condition of the dragon. So we better buckle up for a big lull period until Divine Ascension Ruby decide to try to find a pick, or even if they're able to find a pick, if Omega Gaming make a small misstep. We'll have to see how on point Divine is going to be with catching them out with the Twisted Fate ultimate and with legit Zac's Paranoid. Those are going to be, I think, the key ultimates we need to keep track of to see if Divine Ascension Ruby are going to find a window of opportunity.
Yes, and I mean, ultimately, it's just felt like Omega Gaming Unleashed throughout this entire series has always been one step ahead of Divine Ascension Ruby when it's come to these early and mid games. There are signs of life that Divine Ascension Ruby shows. They have these really like moments of brilliance, but then they're not always able to kind of capitalize, as you kind of pointed out, on some of those small victories that they are able to get. Even if things do go their way. And so unfortunately, Omega Gaming Unleashed just really kind of maximizing a lot of the punishment. And we saw that in game number 1. And ultimately just team fighting really, really effectively, moving across the map with their numbers and even being behind with these global ultimates. Still able to etch out a gold lead and a kill lead here, and bringing that dragon score up to equal here, 2-2 for each squad, is definitely a sign of positivity for Omega Gaming Unleashed, that they aren't losing any kind of grasp of this game. That, I can imagine how tilting it is when you have Nocturne, Shen, and Twisted Fate all jump on you in your lane, and you're just kind of sitting there like, well, okay. So, Omega Gaming Unleashed not really letting that get to them. But Baron going to get started up here pretty early on.
Here.
Yep. That ward's going to come on in. Teleport's now coming on out. Simulacrum going to be able to join the fight here, as they maybe be looking for a fight. And this is kind of the difficult part about it, is when you have this squad, Omega Gaming Unleashed just sitting 5-man on top of an objective waiting for you to fight them, right? That's where this composition does kind of lack a little bit of that power. Unless you're able to actually get to those objectives first, unless you're able to actually put the pressure on Omega Gaming Unleashed, that is the one pitfall of a composition that lacks this kind of team fight and is really looking for those skirmishes.
Yeah, I do want to point out in the itemization how playing against Seraphine and champions like Gangplank as well can make things really difficult, because you count them up on the right side scoreboard. We see, what are you doing with Grievous Wounds, JDK and Pandana both picking up Oblivion Orbs, and even Panda picking up an Executioner's Call, and that is a lot of gold spent just to try to shut down this healing. The Chemtech, Putrefy picked up by Pandana here to try to help out with reducing the healing as well. It's just so much. It's a noble effort, but I wonder if that's even going to be slowing down what Omega's trying to do.
And that's the thing, too. I mean, a lot of Seraphine's power does come from the shielding as well. So, you don't always get immediate returns, for that Chemtech Purifier when you are applying those Grievous Wounds, because you have to burn through that shield, really, before you can start getting that to proc. So, kind of interesting, just a little side note there. But Simulacrum here actually just kind of chilling. Had a bit of a rough early game to start, but now an engage here in the mid lane. The sub gonna go on in, Tidal Wave coming on out, and Artemis running a million miles an hour there in the mid lane. Legit Sack, though, trying to find Simulacrum out here in the 1v1, but you're 2 levels down, my friend. You don't have the time, you don't have the friends, and you don't have the damage. Easy pick up here as Adjustment's gonna rock that one, make him 4-0-3. And he's having one heck of a game. Legit Sack being down, though, pretty much is the push-go button for Baron, unless we're able to find some more, and they will. Adjustment gonna hop up and over the wall, and the sub gonna set it up for him for the dunk as Adjustment picks up his second.
This is now or never for Divine Ascension Ruby. They may get a pick.
Simulacrum question mark. Alright, Mac. Just when you think it's going right, it goes all wrong, and you're able to find the pick. You're able to find a little bit of counterplay, and they're looking to try and stop another Baron here. DAR has done it before, but the Chilling Smite is going to force out the flash here from What Are You Doing? He can only really do so much. Alistar, though, they're going to be able to pop that kill nice and on easy. The double encore. It's once again Princeton just coming up absolutely huge on this champion. Triple kill for Adjustment. And honestly, Tristana, I think she's hit it. I think she's ready. I think she's online, Mac. She's got enough gold sitting in the inventory right now for that Infinity Edge. And Omega Gaming Unleashed looking primed to take away game number 3.
They're going to pick up the Baron, but Legit Sack on the bottom side of the map. Look at that mini-map idea. He's looking to pick up the Ocean Drake, and I don't think Fallen Artemis's Bear Stance and Dead Man's Plate plus the Turbo Chem Tank is going to be enough. They don't even have vision of this, it looks like. And that is going to be sole point for the side of Divine Ascension Ruby. Soul does last longer than Baron buff, but can Divine Ascension Ruby survive longer than the Baron buff? That is the question, and I don't know if the answer is yes, the way Omega Gaming Unleashed is playing. They're getting a huge back, as you pointed out. Idea adjustment able to finish off that Infinity Edge 803 Tristana. Not a lot of armor to shred through, so that's just going to be even more damage. What are you doing? What are you doing? What's going on? Oh gosh, this ain't it for Divine Ascension Ruby Idea. That is not ideal, especially with Omega Unleashed. Baron up now. The Cannon Barrage is going to come in.
Ooh. Yep, that's going to be the flash forced out there from JDK. And Baroned up minions here. Your top laner is, well, he died on the hill. Let's just say that. I didn't die on my Skarner QSS hill, but what are you doing? Definitely died on the save the top lane T1 hill. I just don't think it's even ever worth being up there. You know that they're going to be able to knock down a majority of these outer turrets. And right now, Omega Gaming Unleashed trying to make a press into the base here. Legit Sack having a flash away. Tristana just way too strong. And that's going to be JDK going down in an instant blink, ladies and gentlemen, and you missed it. Omega Gaming Unleashed trying to force the game here. They've got the Baroned up minions. Adjustment still deathless here. 8-0-4. They group up, they tighten up, the Phalanx is there, and Legit Sack, as much as he may try, they just cannot find it. Tristana going to go golden here as they're trying to keep that AD carry alive, and Adjustment going to be able to flash out. Legit can only do so much, and nice management there from Omega Gaming Unleashed to be able to lock this one up and make it a clean and easy 3-0 in the Excellency Mid-League quarterfinals.
What a performance here in the third game, only given over 6 kills to Divine Ascension Ruby. Omega Gaming Unleashed without the bans to worry about getting their game plan getting interfered with. Idea they're able to play their style of League of Legends to perfection. The Udyr from Fallen Artemis, the Seraphine from Princeton, adjustment on this monster Tristana pick, Simulcrum holding it down in the top lane, and the sub, the flashy support. It's really looking good for Omega Gaming Unleashed. They are the 4th seed, so nothing's determined quite just yet. In terms of semi-final matchup implications, it all really depends on who wins our other playoff matchup of the night between AoE God Squad and No Fear Wolves. So if AoE God Squad wins, it's going to be Omega versus Glaive, the rivalry matchup for the ages. And if No Fear Wolves end up winning, AoE God Squad go to me? AoE God Squad would go to Glaive, excuse me. And then Omega Gaming would face off against Meme City. And then if No Fear Wolves win, that's when we get Omega versus Glaive.
Yep, and I am low-key hype for a potential Glaive Esports and Omega Gaming matchup. It's just there's so much banter, right? There's so much history between those orgs that it really would be kind of a bit of a pleasure to see. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see exactly what we actually are going to be getting out of it. I do want to work on an interview here with Adjustment. So if production can help us out there on the back end and get that set up for us, I would love you absolutely forever. Or, Ivar that's out there in the chat, I know you can hear me. Just let him know. We would like to talk to him because honestly, those Tristana performances were really, really well done. In all honesty. Just having a master class in the champion, especially here in game number 3, able to knock this one out in an easy 3-0, kind of was a shining star. And honestly, you did have Princeton there that was performing there on that Seraphine very, very well and just setting up these team fights so effectively that it really was a team effort at the end of the day.
Exactly. That game really doesn't happen if the whole squad isn't firing on all cylinders. If the squad isn't taking the right fights together, it all kind of crumbles apart. If anyone's getting caught out by JDK's ultimate or Legit Sack's ultimate, then it really does go downhill. So really well done from Omega Gaming Unleashed. I don't think they could have played this series much better.
Absolutely. But with that being said, we do have the AD carry from Omega Gaming Unleashed joining us now. Adjustment, welcome to the casting booth, and congratulations on the 3-0 victory against Divine Ascension Ruby. Obviously, how does it feel going into next week, knowing that you have that semifinals match? You don't know who you're going to be playing yet, but I mean, this is what this squad was built for. So, knowing that you have definitely some work cut out for you guys next week, how do you honestly feel coming off of this victory against Divine Ascension Ruby after they got the better of you during the regular season?
Well, first off, thanks for having me and everything. But we had a pretty good week of scrims, so I didn't actually think this would be that difficult of a series. I think we were already kind of looking forward to playing Meme City and or Glaive. We're probably playing Meme City, I assume, I assume AoE is gonna win their side of the bracket or their match today. But I thought the games went pretty well. We had oh, it's 2-1. Okay. I mean, overall, I think it was a pretty good day today. A few shaky things, like I made some mistakes in bot lane, but we're just improving every week, I think so.
Yeah, absolutely. Watching you guys play, it was very evident and obvious that you guys had kind of this kill mentality at one point, at a certain point in the game. You just know that you are ahead. You know you can make those kinds of plays. And, watching you rocket jump up and over the wall in the jungle there, just trying to pick off that kill, was actually a lot of fun to see, right? As aggressively as you guys are playing around the fountain there towards the end as well, it just... it is nice to see. And especially in game 3, what I think that the biggest thing you guys did improve on was your ability to quickly finish it out, right? You knew you had such a lead, you knew you had an advantage, and it wasn't kind of like this long, drawn-out game that we saw in game 2, but it was this mentality of, let's go out, let's get it. And that is exactly what we want to see from championship caliber teams. Anyway, I'm going to throw it on over to Mac here. I'm sure he's got a few questions for you, but congratulations on the victory today, and good luck to you guys throughout the rest of the bracket.
Yeah, thanks again.
Thanks again, Adjustment, for joining us on the desk for the post-game interview, my guy. I do want to go to the very, very start of the series, the sub on the Nautilus pick. What was going through y'all's comms? Did you guys take some inspiration from the LCS with that level 1 Nautilus strat, or was that something kind of just up the sleeve for the Omega squad?
No, it was for sure. Just we just copied it off LCS. We were just like, hey, we could just go for it and see if it works, honestly. But I mean, he took the kill, but whatever.
Sad.
The
Ruby Crystal early on, he kind of got you ahead in that early lane, right? Though, did that make up for it?
Yeah, I usually just have all my all pro teammates to carry me, so we're just doing good.
Do you think you were robbed of an all pro spot?
I don't know. I'm not one to like toot my own horn, so I let other people say if I'm good or not. So I just kind of use that as like people don't think I'm a top 3 ADC. So I mean, I thought I played well today.
Certainly, especially on that Tristana pick. Omega Gaming Unleashed, you guys were able to really get what you want, coming off of a pretty strong showing last week for the regular season. You guys, even I think it was the week before last, taking a game off of Meme City Esports in a comeback win. Glaive, obviously a really big rival for you guys going into the semifinals. Do you have a preference at all which team you want to take down or which team you want to maybe see in the finals?
I mean, not really a preference. It's like you got to beat everyone that's to win the whole thing. So it doesn't really matter who we play. Like, I think both games should be good series. So just whatever's going to be a good match.
All right, absolutely. Man, Adjustment, I just want to say thank you so much, man, for the amazing performance that you were able to give us today. The show that we had and the excitement that we were able to watch, it's awesome to see it, especially from some talented AD carries out there.
Shout out to everyone at Omega.
Absolutely, indeed.
Do you have any other shout outs? Feel free to take it as long as you want, my guy, to go through the list and to go through everyone, because today was a big day for you guys in 3-0 fashion. I don't think I was expecting you guys to storm off to a victory like this. So really, really kudos to you guys, and please give your full list of shout outs if you want, my guy.
Yeah, I mean, again, just everyone at Omega, like everyone's super supportive there. I mean, it's like a family for most people, so it's really awesome. And then we have our coaches, Ray and Ray Frost, and B-Ray helping us out a lot. And then shout out to Sim. I think he should have got All Pro.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is Adjustment, the 80 carry here, and at least in my eyes, the MVP for this series, Mac Dewey. Adjustment, thank you so much, my friend, and good luck.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good one.
Absolutely. What a series. What a series, Mac. It was not close. I'll just say that. Omega Gaming Unleashed came out hungry. They must have listened to our pre-show and the doubts we had against them, because they said, heck no, that's not going to happen this time around. And they really did show a strong, strong performance here today. Do we have actually an update on our Wolves versus AoE God Squad matchup?
Game four draft is going on right now, just finishing up. It looks like some spicy picks coming through. Epic Fail Guy on a Jinx pick, Beastlance on the Tristana. I mean, it really does sound like I wouldn't want to miss that match.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up on over here on the Excellency Esports main channel. Again, I'm the Idea PC, joined by Mac Dewey. Ladies and gentlemen, we will catch you all around, and everyone have a good night.
Matchup back around.
Oh, for sure. We are getting to the end of our Champ Select stage. Any last remarks you have for game number 4 here, Gungeon?
I want to give a speech to my boys on the No Fear Wolves. I'm not biased. I predicted AoE God Squad 3-1, and it looks like it's going to end up being it with the performances that they've given. But if you're listening to me from the side of No Fear Wolves, in your heart of hearts, you know what you guys are. You guys are a great team that can play a great team fight. Calm it down. Play it smart. Play it simple. Don't be stupid. Just do your job and keep your boys alive, and let's get to a game 5 so we can hear some silver scrapes. Let's go, boys.
Oh, yeah. We're going to head to a short break. See you guys on the other side. to Excellency Esports.